Now, a lot of people think that they have to wait until they're already a millionaire or they're already making a ton of money before they can start building generational wealth, but nothing could be further from the truth. Like I said, I was building generational wealth when I was as young as 16 years old and had no money. Hey, CourtneyLSanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time entrepreneur as well as wife and mom. Truly, I wear all the hats and do all the things, but I also help you turn your success story into a 6 or even 7-figure coaching brand. And today I want to talk to you about how you can start building generational wealth today. Now, I don't know if you can tell by now, I don't know how long you've been on my channel or how long you've been watching my videos, but I'm kind of a weirdo, and I'm kind of a weirdo because I've been thinking about and pursuing generational wealth literally since I was like 16. Before I had kids, before I was even married, like before I had even gone to college, this was something that was very important to me because I knew I didn't want my kids to start over. So my parents did a great job giving me and my sister a head start. You know, we grew up in a normal middle-class family. We got cars at age 16. We had a cell phone. So, you know, not uber wealthy, but definitely not struggling at all. But I wanted to make sure that, you know, my kids wouldn't have to take out loans, you know, for college, right? I had to do that because that was my mistake. I had a full ride engineering scholarship, which I later lost after pursuing entrepreneurship. But, you know, my parents were like, hey, you got to figure it out because we don't have money to send you to school. And so that's when I started taking out loans. So I wanted to make sure that my kids would be squared away when it comes to college. If they want to start businesses, that they're going to have the cash that they need to start businesses, to get into investments, all those things. And that's really the reason why I even got into business and why I was interested in pursuing entrepreneurship. Now, a lot of people think that they have to wait until they're already a millionaire or they're already making a ton of money before they can start building generational wealth, but nothing could be further from the truth. You can start building generational today, truly. Like I said, I was building generational wealth when I was as young as 16 years old and had no money. So if you're like, all right, I'm, you know, still working in my wealth building journey, but I want to start building generational wealth today, you're in luck because we're going to get into that in this video right now. All right, the first thing you can do today to build generational wealth is invest in your skill set. And I love this because this is like the Swiss Army knife of generational wealth building. Your skill set, one, is going to be the thing that you use to create generational wealth. So I know online, especially on YouTube and elsewhere, all this talk about passive income is really popular, right? Everybody's like, how do I get more passive income? Not realizing that passive income first requires active income, right? The first thing you need to be focused on when it comes to creating wealth at all, but especially generational wealth, meaning wealth that is going to be passed down to your kids and your kids' kids, etc., is focusing on how you can grow that active income so that you have a little, you know, nest egg that you can then invest into other things. And one of the best ways you can grow your income is growing your skill set. Now, we're taught to go to school, you know, go to college, you know, get a good job after school, and just whatever we can do for that corporation, whatever skill set we're selling to that corporation, we just focus on that our whole lives. We don't ever reinvest in our skill set. But me, even though I went to school for marketing and then I ended up getting a job in banking and finance, I continued to invest in my coaching skills and my marketing skills because I knew that that was something that I was going to use to generate generational wealth down the road. And that's exactly what happened. I started getting really good first at blogging and then social media and then online marketing. And I've been able to build this business, and I continue to grow this business using those self-taught skills that I developed way back then. But also, I say developing your skill set is like a Swiss Army knife for generational wealth building because it's also something that you're going to be able to pass down. So when we think about generational wealth, we think about passing down money, but I'm really excited that I now have a skill set that once my kids are old enough, I can pass that skill set down to them as well. So when they are thinking about their entrepreneurial pursuits, mom's going to be able to pass down the skill set of this is how you monetize yourself online. This is how you leverage social media in your favor. This is how you create buzz around what you're selling and how to market yourself. I'm going to be passing down those actual skill sets. So I can't stress this enough. That's why it's number one on my list. Make sure that you are investing in your skill set if you want to build generational wealth starting today. All right, the second thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to invest in your financial literacy. So the first one is like invest in maybe what you can do with your hands, but I'm saying invest in what goes in your head. If you want to build generational wealth, investing in financial literacy is so important because most of what is taught in society is actually never going to make you wealthy. Most of the financial advice we hear is designed to keep you middle class, or rather is designed with the expectation that you are going to stay middle class your whole life. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. You know, you enjoy your 9-to-5 job, you enjoy coming home on the weekends and just kind of doing your thing and you're not really into that. But if you're watching this video, I think it's safe to assume that you want to go beyond that and you want to do more. And so you're gonna have to understand that a lot of that advice is not going to be for you. It's gonna be for you for a period or for a place in your life. But if you really wanna scale to the next level, there are different things that the wealthy do and there are different ways that the wealthy handle their money. And so it's really important that you start to learn from them, whether it's reading their books or watching their videos. In fact, I have a video all about how the wealthy handle money, which you can check out right here. And I talk in that story about how I even approach purchasing luxury cars and investing in real estate and just all the different strategic things that I do that I never would have known to do had I not invested in my own financial literacy. And similar to the first tip that we talked about, it is one of those skill sets or knowledge rather that you will have that will help you build generational wealth, but it's also something that you're going to be able to pass down to your kids. So I'm also a history buff. I love reading about, old successful families like say the Rockefellers or the Carnegies or the Vanderbilts or whatever. One of the books that I've been reading lately is the Cartiers, right? The French jewelry family. And one thing that I noticed that they pass down is this financial literacy. The kids grow up understanding how money works and how money is supposed to be passed down in their family. So it's super imperative if you want to build generational wealth starting today. One of the easiest things you can do is simply invest in your financial literacy. Now I have more where that came from, but first I want to hear from you. Why are you building generational wealth? Do you have kids that you want to pass wealth down to? Are you trying to change the trajectory of your family tree and your family's finances? Share in the comments below. All right, the third thing that you can do starting today in order to generate generational wealth is to clean up and leverage your credit. And this goes along with that financial literacy education that I shared because again, most of what you're taught about credit and credit scores, etc., is designed for a middle-class audience that you're gonna hear in society, but the wealthy leverage and use credit at very, very different ways. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself, even if you are not yet in a place where you want to be financially or you don't have a lot of excess capital, right, sitting around in your bank account to invest in a business or into real estate or whatever, one of the best things you can do is simply clean up your credit and get it in a position where you can leverage it. So I've traveled all over the world. I've traveled to 3 different countries just this summer alone. And I've been fortunate to see all different types of cultures and how people live. But one thing that I'll say, especially as an entrepreneur, when I go to other countries, when I do business in other countries, and when I do business with people who live in other countries, one of the things that they marvel around, particularly for the Western world and particularly for us Americans, is that we do have access to a very strong credit system. So most of us only think about credit in terms of, let me have a good credit score so I can get a credit card and then I can go spend it on, buying a big screen TV on Black Friday, or if I can get a good interest rate for my car note or something like that. But what we don't realize is we actually have a huge gift, if you're here in this country, and that we can access credit in order to grow our businesses or in order to buy assets. And a lot of people go their whole lives, again, working their 9-to-5 jobs, trying to save up a little money, which is difficult because your job is barely gonna pay you more than what your living expenses are. And so, you're paying your living expenses, you're saving, trying to save a little money, and then you're like, oh, I also want to build generational wealth. You have very little left over. It's very difficult to then get into business or get into real estate, etc., unless you have good credit. Because if you have good credit, you can start tapping into business credit right away. And so business credit is outside of the scope of this video. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do videos on that in the future. But you can basically use your personal credit to get access to business capital via business credit, and then you can start to invest in your business that way. Also, you can just make sure your credit is clean so that you can start investing in real estate. I think most people understand that concept. If you have a good credit score, you don't just have to use it for your primary residence when you are purchasing a home. You can use it to purchase a rental property. Maybe you get it at a really good rate and you realize that you can rent it out for more than what the mortgage is going to cost you. That's an example of how you can start building generational wealth really without any money down, simply because you had good credit. So having good credit, cleaning that credit up really, really gets you in position. You want to clean your credit up so that you can then leverage it to create generational wealth. So that's something that I recommend you do starting today. All right, the fourth thing that I recommend you do that you can do like today when it comes to creating generational wealth is if you are currently in the process of purchasing a home, I want you to look at purchasing your home the way a landlord would. This is a huge part of my husband and I's story about how we've been able to create generational wealth from a very early time on, like literally the year after we got married. And we were able to do that because the first home that we ever purchased, we bought a house in Dallas, Texas after we got married. We didn't just buy the house because we were like, oh, it's a beautiful house, we love this neighborhood, you know, this is where we want to raise our kids. We bought a house that we were like, we know this is not going to be our forever home, right? It was a starter home. So eventually, as we, you know, have kids and our family grows, we're going to want to move out of this home, knowing that we strategically purchased our home in a location that suited our needs at the time, but also we knew was going to be a great rental property later on. And that's exactly what happened. We lived in Dallas, Texas for 6 years, and then my husband got an opportunity in Houston, Texas, and so we packed up and moved to Houston, and we never sold that house. In fact, we rented it out, and we knew that it was going to be rentable because that's why we bought it. We knew that it was in a great neighborhood and that other people were renting homes nearby and that they were getting, you know, really great rates in comparison to what the mortgage was on that home. So this is something that I find that a lot of people overlook. Everyone's so focused on, you know, be a homeowner, purchase your first home, which is great. You know, you definitely want to buy a home versus renting because at least your money is going to an asset. But I'm going to up the ante if you are generational wealth minded the way I am. And I'm going to say one thing that you can do right now, since you're already looking to purchase a home, is just simply make sure that the home you purchase is something that you're going to be able to rent out later if you ever anticipate moving or leaving from that home. So if it's not your forever home, you're like, one day I'll probably move from here, make sure that it is something that you are going to be able to rent out. And this isn't just something that I do, this is something that my friends have done. It's one of the easiest ways to build generational wealth because now you will always have that asset in your portfolio. And think about it, when your kids get ready to go away to college, you can sell that house and use the proceeds to pay for their college education, or you can give it to them and then they can use it to invest in their own business endeavors and ideas. And it's just such an easy way to generate generational wealth. So make sure you're doing that. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you're gonna love my financial freedom workshop. So this is actually a recording that I did not too long ago that shares the mindset that you need to have if you want to truly achieve financial freedom. So if you wanna download that video and get access to it right away, click the link below. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And if you want even more where that came from, come on over to my podcast. It's the Courtney Sanders Show on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait to my next video or my next podcast, make sure that you are following me on Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders and only CourtneyLSanders. I don't have any other accounts. If you see spammers reaching out to you and the name is spelled kind of crazy, it ain't me, okay? So make sure that you are following CourtneyLSanders on Instagram. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.